But heading into the weekend, let's talk about this a little bit. Just days before the Ohio State Buckeyes were scheduled to celebrate their national championship in front of their fans at Ohio Stadium on Sunday, numerous reports flooded the internet that someone, an unknown team, offered Buckeyes freshman sensation wide receiver Jeremiah Smith a $4.5 million name, image, and likeness deal to enter the transfer portal, leave the Buckeyes, and join their team. Which team? Lots of speculation about that out there. Now, a lot of people are kind of pointing at the Miami Hurricanes here. When they also tried to recruit Smith back in the day when he was a 5-star out of high school. They didn't get him. He went to Ohio State. And Miami's been very active in the name, image, and likeness game. They just pried quarterback Carson Beck from Georgia to the tune of $4 million. And Georgia wanted to keep Carson Beck. So he went to Miami. So they're very active. So they're very suspicious here. And Smith isn't the only one. Well, there was also the story that their other receiver, Carnell Tate, reportedly has $1 million offer to transfer as well. Now, the internet is full of speculation there, too. That might be Oregon. Oregon Ducks might be trying to get Tate. Now, all that aside, all that reading on the internet over the weekend aside, let's actually do some actual journalism here. Despite the old saying that where there's smoke, there's fire, and we gravitate toward that a lot. But we should report that there is no official report or claim that Miami or Oregon are trying to poach or tamper with Smith or Tate as of right now. We can also report that Jeremiah Smith did answer an X post from an associate that suggested that Smith and his family, they're just too loyal to go ahead and bolt out of Columbus, just chasing the almighty dollar. Smith answered that tweet with the red 100 emoji, insinuating that, or at least we're led to believe that he 100% agrees with that comment about his loyalty and that Buckeye fans can breathe a sigh of relief because he's not going anywhere. That's where we are with this right now. We should state that a school cannot try to directly lure away another school's players with name, image, and likeness offers. To do so directly would be against NCAA rules, if that matters to anybody. Now, a player can enter the transfer portal on their own. A player can negotiate a name, image, and likeness deal on their own, but another school can't try to steal another team's player by just throwing name, image, and likeness money at them and try and pry them away. Now, we're not naive. I'm not naive. I know this happens all the time. This is how it works. So do I think it's going on? Sure. Do I believe a school offered Jeremiah Smith $4.5 million to go leave Ohio State and go play for them? Absolutely. But it looks like nothing's going to become of it right now. Besides, Ohio State, they're taking care of him too. I think he's getting $3 to $4 million already, and they'll probably up it for Jeremiah Smith. But this kind of thing happens all the time. Now, Buckeyes coach Ryan Day, not too happy about this. On a recent radio interview, he said one of the biggest issues in college football is enforcement of the rules or lack thereof. They said that enforcement is strained right now. And he says until something is done, schools can just call agents or players' parents, offer them a ton of money, and it just spirals right from there. That's how it happens behind the scenes. Doesn't have to be direct one-on-one. People can be sneaky about it behind the scenes a little bit. 2 to 3 degrees of separation. There's no paper trail on any of this stuff. Right? They also reiterated that NCAA enforcement, it's just non-existent. And he says there's no penalties or repercussions, and this whole situation is getting worse. Although some might argue, some people named Craig might argue that instead of enforcement being non-existent, I would argue that it's very selective. Some guys get hammered, some don't. I seem to recall Jim Harbaugh getting suspensions handed out like Halloween candy last year at a pretty rapid pace. People were after him. There was enforcement, right? I digress. Don't want to dig that back up from last year. So being a college football coach today it's an impossible job. It is absolutely impossible. We're going to continue to see coaches move by the wayside. We're going to look later on in this week about the vote that happened last week. It was unanimous. Coaches want to just pare down that transfer portal period. We got 2 of them right now. They overlap with bowl games. It's ridiculous. Another subject for another day. We'll get into it and how we're going to have a solution to all that. But again, as the things are right now today, it's impossible. And we're going to start losing more coaches to the game. They're going to go to the NFL where it's easier, believe it or not. But think about it. I mean, your livelihood is based on recruiting 16 and 17-year-old kids who are just learning how to drive, for crying out loud. And you press them for a verbal commitment while they're in high school. Then you try to prevent other schools from flipping that commit, which you can't stop. It's going to happen. I mean, it's a business on all sides. People are coming at them from everywhere. So recruiting that kid is a continuous job right up until signing day. And then there's the money that's offered to that kid from your name, image, and likeness collective and the collectives of other schools trying to flip that kid. It's nonstop. So if you're a coach and your livelihood is based on getting this kid onto campus, you got all this other stuff. And now we're dealing with millions of dollars. It's impossible. I don't know how coaches sleep at night. At the same time, you're looking to recruit kids in the transfer portal, older kids, experienced kids to come to your school. And that's just become a flat out name, image, and likeness bidding war right up until the minute the kid arrives. You're never sure. You say, oh, I'm going to come here, but then they change their mind and they go somewhere else. They flip. Happens all the time. We talk about it every day. So again, add that to what coaches have to deal with. And then as soon as the season is over, you got to re-recruit your own kids to stay because some are looking elsewhere and you don't want them to go and hit the transfer portal and leave. So you got to re-recruit them, maybe come up with some more money for them too. And by the way, that's all going on while coaches are trying to coach, practice for games and bowl games and playoffs, poring over game film, learning your opponent. You got to do all that while you got to do all these other things. It's why Ryan Day stepped out of calling plays. He's got so much other stuff he's got to do. You don't have time to prepare for a game like he used to. Well, by the way, that all worked out. They won a national championship. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned the difficulties of keeping your staff together. Again, if you're good or if you win a national championship, other schools, they're not only going to try and steal your players, they're going to try and steal your successful coaching staff. And that is happening at Ohio State, by the way, as they suffered a big loss over the weekend. More on that in just a second. In the meantime, we'd love your comments on all this. I know there's a lot of rumors out there about schools and which ones they are and all that. I would love to hear from them. That's what the comment section's for on YouTube. Hit me up. If anything else, hit that subscribe button. It's free. And you can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Don't forget to share, like, and follow as well. That really helps us out. And don't forget to hit our website, talkbig10.com. We have all of our podcasts go there and links to merchandise from your favorite school. Buckeyes fans, Oregon Duck fans, get your shirts, hats, t-shirts right there while you're listening to a podcast about your favorite team. Go ahead and buy a shirt, t-shirt, hat, jacket, because you want to get all geared up and looking good. It's all right there on the website, talkbig10.com. All right, so while we've been talking about the Buckeyes and try not to lose players, also try not to lose their very good coaching staff with Ryan Day. Well, they did lose their defensive coordinator to Penn State, of all things. Interesting story there. They got to replace Tom Allen, who suddenly left. And the Buckeyes also found some time with all this going on to celebrate their championship on Sunday. And we'll have our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. We'll see if my list matches yours. All that coming up in a minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. I'm going to tell you about Intuit TurboTax. Tax season is coming. Doing taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Absolutely. I used to go through this all the time. Now taxes is matching yourself with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on the progress so you can focus on your day. An expert will find you every single deduction possible and file every form, every investment, and Everything with 100% accuracy. I've personally used them for 20 years. I can't imagine doing taxes without them. I hate doing taxes, but I love it with TurboTax. It's great. So all of you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is what taxes is all about. Now, get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates, only in iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.